Mobicred is essentially a credit facility exclusively for online shopping. It's only South Africa based. It's entirely virtual. It's a totally online platform. It's essentially a credit facility with a minimum credit limit of 2,500 Rand. It goes up to 20,000 Rand. It's entirely online, as I mentioned. The application process, everything is virtual. It allows for instant purchasing for customers who have a Mobicred account at over 300 online participating merchants that we've signed up. And at the moment, it's unique in South Africa. Okay, so what have we done in terms of innovation? I would say that there are two areas that we've focused on. The first one is in the application process. So we have a 2-page online application form on our desktop version, and obviously it's slightly different on our mobile version. And that captures and collects a whole range of pieces of information. And the innovation there is that we've taken that information and we ping numerous different data sources to be able to make a credit decision on that person, all online and as quickly as possible, because the whole idea with e-commerce is that you need to make a decision really quickly so the customer can buy. So we ping various different data sources, come back as quickly as possible with a decision, yes or no, and then also allocate a credit limit if that customer is approved. The other area of innovation that we focused on is the integration between that system, how we run our accounts, how we vet the customer, whether or not they get the account, and the actual merchant. How do we integrate those two? So we have an API model that's been built which integrates merchants to our system, and that's something that's quite unique. It also allows for instant purchasing, refunds, cancellations, queries, interest rate calculations, all sorts of things like that. So those are the two areas that we've focused on in terms of innovation. As a merchant, you can integrate directly to us via the APIs, or you can go via some of the gateways that have done the work for you, and that's really instant. They can switch you on overnight, which is great. So we've tried to make the integration process as quick and simple as possible for online stores. What's in it for the customer? So essentially, lots of people ask me all the time, what makes you different from every other credit provider or a bank or a credit card? And you're right, we are quite similar. The main difference is that there's a once-off application, so you don't have to apply every time you shop. There have been some similar sort of things over the years, and you had to apply every time you wanted to buy a specific product. That deal was customized to what you were buying, what the term was, where you were buying from. This is a once-off online application process. You get allocated a credit limit, and you can then shop at, as I said, over 300 different stores. The actual process to purchase is really simple. You don't have to put in a 16-digit card number and an expiry date and a CVV number and 3D secure. It's just username, password, and then we send you a one-time PIN if your transaction is approved, and you put that in. The merchant is then guaranteed of payment, and you get your goods. You also have monthly repayments that are affordable and allow you to maybe afford or budget for some of the things that you wouldn't have been able to afford before. And we engage with customers across all different platforms. One of the things that I've found that the world has changed in mostly is that people don't want to pick up the phone and chat to you on the phone anymore. It's Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the other platforms. So we engage with our customers wherever they want to engage with us. What's in it for the merchant? This is where I get quite super excited, because this adds some proper value. So firstly, we find virtually all of our merchants find a basket value of approximately 75% higher on Mobicred sales than on any other kind of payment type. So for a merchant to push this, they genuinely see the upside. We also see excellent customer loyalty and increased purchase frequency. If the merchant displays installment pricing, monthly pricing on the product pages, we've seen an increase in credit sales of up to 20% if they didn't have it before and they put it on. So it really does encourage customers to see how affordable something is. You can upsell to your customers. And then the most exciting thing that I think is, because of the level of data that we have to collect on customers in order to make the credit decision, we're able to feed back to the merchants some really interesting insights into their customer demographics, which they wouldn't have access to in any other way. So that's something that my merchants in particular find really, really interesting, is to get a proper snapshot of who their customer is, what they look like, where do they live, how many children do they have, all that sort of thing. On the customer side, it's simple, it's affordable, it's really a simple process to use, and it's safe. We have many customers that actually don't use it as a credit facility. They like the idea that it's a super safe, super quick online payment method, and they settle before the following statement, in which case it's interest and fee free. In terms of delivery, how do we engage with our customers? As I mentioned, we find the customers where they are. We don't do a lot of marketing above the line because the customer that we're looking for is already online shopping, and the merchants that are subscribed to us want to push it. So that's really the best place to find those customers, and we find them on the online sites where they're shopping. We engage with them via various, credit messaging, and as I mentioned before, the credit pricing at product level really helps to make it affordable and real to a customer. Traction. In 2014, we had a sum total of a couple of hundred customers, and we had 4 merchants. About a month later, Naspers closed 3 of those, and we had a mild panic. So we've grown quite a lot from there. Now here we are in 2016 with thousands of transactions every month. We process over 4,000 applications every month, and we have over 300 merchants that accept us, including many in the top 10. Our transaction frequency is up from 1 to 2 times in 6 months to 1.8 times per customer. And we are obviously using data analytics and policy enhancements to change this all the time. Sorry, run out of time. 30 seconds to go. Great. So where to now? We're launching a mobile app in the coming 2 weeks, which will be great. It'll have a direct link to customers to check out their accounts and shop on merchant sites. Eventually, we'll be able to use a Mobicred account in physical stores. And then there are various conversations happening to use our technology and our APIs across other applications and platforms.
Cool. Thank you. A quick question from my side before I pass it on to judges. Who holds the credit risk? Is it you guys?
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
what do you have insurance?
So we're privately owned at this stage, and we take all the risks. So to a merchant, that's a win-win. They get paid immediately for that transaction, and we take the risk of recovering the money from the customer over usually around about 12 months.
And your interest that you charge?
It's absolutely NCA regulated and capped at 21%.
Okay, cool.
Could you perhaps provide clarity on your KYC process, perhaps maybe just more information on that, and then also fraud prevention measures?
Okay, so fraud, I'll cover the fraud first. We don't have a lot of fraud because of the level of detail we go into in the application process and the verification of bank account holding, as well as employment verification, proof of income documentation, all of that sort of thing. It's become quite difficult. So we have had a little bit, and we did pay some school fees in the early years, but now we have very little fraud coming through. And I have to confess, embarrassingly, I'm not 100% sure what KYC stands for.
Know your customer.
Sorry?
Know your client.
Oh, know your customer. Goodness gracious. You mean the demographic stuff? What? Sorry, I'm battling to hear you.
The validation around how you actually get to
know the customer. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's various things. We use bank account holder verification, access to bureau data, employment verification. We also use some fairly new social scoring, where we use information and data obtained from social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, to verify that the customer is who they say they are, which has become quite exciting for us.
You mentioned running at about 4,000 applications a month now.
Yeah.
So just interested to know what the decline rate would be running at out of that.
It's not great. The economy is definitely not what it used to be. So our approval rate is sitting at around about 25 to 30%, depending on the merchant. some of our merchants that attract quite a young, trendy, funky customer that maybe doesn't have a great record or doesn't have a very long record, sitting at about 22 to 25%. And then we have some other merchants that sell fairly sophisticated electronic goods and things like that, and they have approval rates of up to 45%. So it depends on what kind of customer you attract.
And then just in terms of the credit vetting that you're doing, do you borrow from other banks' technology, or is it a completely proprietary system that you're using to vet your
It's
clients?
absolutely our own. It's something that we've built ourselves, and we tweak it all the time. So we've written our own credit policy, own credit rules, using the various different sources of data that we have. And we tweak that all the time to see how the book's performing and what's happening and what we need to adjust.
Sorry, just one last one. Does it also interrogate something, does it use sources like the National Loan Register?
No. I mean, whatever central sources of information in terms of bureau stuff is recorded similar to that we use, but not that one specifically.
So, on the competitive side, obviously
Yes.
everybody's playing somewhere in this
Correct.
kind of space somewhere.
Yes.
Who are your biggest kind of competitors and inhibitors, and more importantly, what's going to differentiate you
Yes.
on a sustainable basis?
Okay, so there's no one doing exactly what we do, but there are obviously tons of people doing online payments of various different descriptions and lots of different, I mean, anybody with a credit card is a competitor to us. So essentially what we are doing that is hopefully giving us a little bit of a competitive edge for as long as possible is the turnaround time of our application process. It's quick, simple. You don't have to wait for a card to be couriered to you with your name stamped on it. Also the ease of the purchasing facility and the integration to merchants is really quick and simple. So we're hoping that'll give us a little bit longer of a runway, but we are making some fairly significant, we're having some fairly significant conversations at the moment which discuss using some of our technology in ways that will give us a little bit more sustainability other than the bog standard credit facility online. So I think there are some exciting things to come.
So no details.
I can't give you details.
Can you describe the typical customers that you serve? You mentioned young and hip crowd, but can you give some more detail about
Okay, so that's
income levels
some of our
and
merchants.
spending patterns?
Yeah, some of our merchants accept that, attract that kind of customer. But essentially, our pool of customers is anyone shopping online. And that actually, when we first started, we thought we were going to attract a segment of the market that didn't have access to credit cards. But actually, we have found that not to be the case. We're attracting customers that are already shopping online, they already are permanently employed, access to data, access to online facilities at their workplaces. So the caliber of customer and the demographic of the customer that we're looking at is slightly different to what we initially anticipated. To give you an indication, our average age of our customer is 32, which is not quite what we were thinking it would be at all. So it's, we're fishing in the same pool, and as that market grows and as e-commerce grows in South Africa and attracts more and more customers from different backgrounds and from different industries, those will become our customers. But at the moment, your typical online customer that's brave enough, that does the online shopping and has stuff delivered, that's who we're selling to.
And what's your experience in terms of non-performing loan percentages?
It's not too bad. It's actually better than we expected it to be, once again, because we thought we were tapping into a customer that hadn't had much access to credit before, and now we find that not to be the case. Most of our customers, in fact, probably 90% of our customers have a credit card. The bad debt has actually been not bad at all. So we still tweak it every now and again, and we recently closed the taps a little because we were noticing some newer credit entrants coming in that were not performing so well. But at this stage, we're below budget.
Thanks, Geraldine. Just in terms of your differentiators, back to that, would you say that the UX, the user experience, is the main differentiator? I mean, obviously we've got a lot of people playing in this space around lending.
Yes.
I suppose that's the first part of my question. Do you think it's the UX is your key kind of route in terms of
Yes.
making things seamless
Yes.
for the provider. And the second thing is, and I know you alluded to it earlier, but where do you see the scale of the business? How do you make this thing a default process? I mean,
Yes.
do you integrate back into business to business and you know, go to large merchants and say, well, outsource as your headache of your store cards, for example?
Yes.
Or are you going to be going kind of geographically?
Okay, so in terms of sustainability and growth, one of the things that I briefly touched on here is that we are looking at taking our Mobicred account offline as well. So at this stage, we have a number of merchants who have offline presence, like iStore and Incredible Connection, who would like to have Mobicred accounts accepted in their stores. That's something that we will be able to facilitate in the very near future. That then opens us up to a whole other world of potential merchants, and so we are having those conversations. In the UX thing, obviously, this is all we talk about, this is all we hear about all day long, and I'll be honest with you, I think we have quite a lot of work to do there. Things just get slicker and faster and cooler all the time and every day. At this stage, it seems to be working well, and our customers love the username, password, one-time PIN, simplicity of it, but it is certainly something that we have to keep working on. At the moment, our focus is mostly on the interface with the merchant. So what does the merchant actually integrate? How does it look for the merchant? How does it, that experience is as simple as possible for a customer, so they don't have to exit the merchant's site to go anywhere or open another portal or do anything that takes them out of that shopping experience. And that's our main focus now, and that we've hopefully got right. And yeah, we're just growing all the time.